Welcome back to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. The situation in Tanzania is not getting any better because the curfew that was pronounced yesterday still stands. But the determined Gen Zs would have none of it. They have defied yet again the orders to stay at home. They are ready to die and they have stormed the streets. Now, one funny thing, as we will see in the videos that we have, is that Jeshi is like escorting them because they have stormed, they have braved the night because there's a blackout. The internet is not working and there's a blackout. The electricity is also not working. Madam Samia Sulu has just gone mad. Now, in the middle of that night, the military is with them. Now, there is this video where they are claiming to have stormed one of the homes of one Mr. Abdul, who they say is the son of Samia Sulu, the president whom they believe is the worst dictator in the history of Tanzania. So let us begin by watching this video as they storm the night and they are, applauding the military of being with them because there is this fear that if they are alone, the police will kill them. So this is what is happening in the night.
ndo kazi ya jeshi. Sio kupiga.
And we don't hear so much of gunshots. That means that the police have been contained by the military if the videos that we have are anything to go by. Then there was this rage when they decided, I think Abdul has got several homes and several businesses because as they explain in the video, they say that hii ni mojawapo tu moja wa safari. In other words, if there is any home where they can gain access, they do that. And I'm wondering what they have in mind. Can you take a look at this?
Alfadi namba hii imechomwa. Alfadi namba hii imechomwa na toyo hiyo hapo. Na ile pale inapokea moto ST. Hii hapo sasa hapa ni kwa Abduli Arusha. Kwenye hoteli yake Arusha hii ni safari moja. Kumabani atakufa mtu.
Can you imagine, ladies and gentlemen, the kind of anger that they harbor? What if they can just by mistake meet or get hold of one of the relatives of Samia Suluhu or one of the relatives of the CCM, the Chama cha Mapinduzi officials, or one of the ministers? Because according to them, like in many other protests, they treat all the government officials, those who work for them, their relatives, their friends, they treat them equally. This kind of anger, if they can get hold of any of the friends or relatives, it can be a story that we don't want to hear. All this is happening because of power. When you are drunk with the power, this is what happens. And so there's something I've been asking myself. Why is Madam Suluhu scared? I mean, what would have happened if she just allowed, Tundu Lissu to take part in that very important constitutional right? I'm just asking myself, what would have happened? Because, I mean, when people go for elections, they had time to campaign. Madam Sulu has been in power, and I believe that as she was campaigning with all those fuel guzzlers, all the vehicles that belong to the government. In fact, I saw one of her convoys, and that is a waste of taxpayers' money. But that's what happens in all the countries. But she was to explain what she has done. I think ever since she was given that power, I mean, I'm just imagining, I'm not Tanzanian, but I believe she's been connecting roads, electricity, she has worked on uchumi. The other time she was telling us ya kwamba wekezaji wanakimbia kutoka kwa nchi jirani kwa sababu kuna fujo pale, wanaingia nchini kwao pale. So I think she's done enough. But why would one person block the main opposition leader from competing her? Then she shuts down internet. Then she declares blackout. Then the police are on the street with live bullets. This must be a very scared president. And something tells me, and I wish I was a Tanzanian resident, but something tells me that when you are given time to work, you might not know that 5 years or 4 years, those years are very little, especially when you don't work, when you get engrossed so much in politics and trying to abuse the human rights, you are engaged in human rights violation. Before you know it, you are staring at an election year and you look back, there's nothing you've done. The NIS will tell you, hapa hauchaguliwi tena. And I think this could be happening. Otherwise, why would a president who is in power be scared that much, be scared of an opposition leader, someone who has got no instruments of power? It can only mean that the people are tired of her. And when the people are tired of you, it means the role that you are given, the mandate that you are given kulingana na katiba, haukutimiza. And I know right now, the relatives and friends of Samia Suluhu and the government officials are heavily protected. You know, sometimes I saw a video of the first president of the Jumuiya Tanzania. Is it the Republic of Tanzania? Julius Kambarage Nyerere. And he was walking very freely. And I was like, is this an African president? Why is he not afraid? Because I've seen some of our presidents, both retired and those who are in office, when they walk around, you'd think that there is an enemy that is waiting to kill them. They have heavy security, and I think it is some phobia that is based on the fact that you've got enemies. When you get into those offices, I think sometimes these leaders forget that they are there courtesy of the people. Those offices are not theirs; they are ours. We are the taxpayers. Taxpayers. We maintain their offices using our hard-earned tax. So when they get there and forget that we sent them, then they start looting, they engage in human rights violation, they realize that it is too little too late, and therefore we become enemies because questions are being asked. In Kenya, there is a term that it is our term to eat. When you are still in the opposition, you criticize. But when you get to government, you immediately, call your friends and you tell them, hapa sasa tutaki kelele, hapa ni kukula. That is why Rigathi Gachagua hakujua kukula. Yeye anakula na anapiga kelele. Unajua table manners demand that unakula na unanyamaza. Yari to be impeached. So ladies and gentlemen, what is happening in Tanzania is almost getting out of hand, and I know Madam Sulu has got a landslide. She'll soon be declared the winner. But I like the fact that the Gen Zs went out and exposed what is happening. The police, the brutal police, the rogue policemen who are causing mayhem on the streets. But the military was also exposed in a good way, for good reasons. Because why not for the military? I have a feeling that it will be very bad. Of course, they are there to try and keep the public at bay so that in case they overpower the police, then they can deal with them. But they have decided to build a rapport with the protesters so that they are friendly, and therefore they would even listen. The protesters will listen to them. I'm sure if they try to get out of hand, wanajeshi wanaweza waongelesha, waambie tumekuwa marafiki, tafadhali msiharibu mali, msifanye nini. There is that bit of it, because the approach that the military has taken in Tanzania is different from what the police is doing. So it is mayhem, it is turmoil, there's a lot of inferno, destruction, because that is the only way they can express their anger and rage. They can't get hold of Suluhu. She's really protected, and so anything that they get hold of, they retaliate. There is a lot of retaliation that they have harbored in their hearts. In fact, I don't know why Suluhu, the elections are over. Why can't she just release Tundulisu, or it will be the intensity of that process will be the intensity of that protest will increase, because when they see their leader and they imagine that he didn't take part in the election, they would be mad. But keeping him in incarceration, to me, is building more tension than if he was outside. I don't know what to think, but the scenes coming from Tanzania are not really palatable. We continue to receive them and we'll update as they come.